Lincoln Sixishe. Lincoln, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, just what exactly is your connection to Cuba?
Well, I went to Cuba as a student. I'm a medical graduate from Cuba. I went in 1991. I shared the struggles of the Cuban people at a time when literally it was very almost a miracle for being accepted as to study medicine. There were previous groups before me, but with us, the special circumstances was that the Cubans had just been the blockade had just been intensified.
Yes, because that was the period when really that saw the fall of communism around Eastern Europe, and Cuba being tied to that part of the world. It must have been a difficult period.
Very. I remember we had problem with transport, getting to our classes, to our lectures. There was a sudden cessation of the normal routes, bus routes in the city. There was in Havana, and but despite that, the Cubans made very quick plans to get the transport system going for us to be able to get even lifts. We used to get to classes from the government cars, that kind of thing, and that sheer solidarity, and that sheer sacrifice of the Cuban people for our cause, for us to be able to. And medicine is a very long career, and subsequently made it to finish.
And you were saying just a little earlier on that in all you were about 20 South African students in Cuba at that time.
Yes.
But initially you were supposed to have studied in Russia, but following the demise of communism, how did you end up in Cuba then?
Yeah, I remember I was in Lesotho at that time, and then the ANC was facilitating that scholarship to Russia. The conditions in Russia, I remember we were even buying clothes to go to Russia, cold. And then the demise, we got reports that the Russians are not able to continue accommodating African students anymore because of those political circumstances there. And the ANC quickly made changes for us, that group then to be sent to Cuba, and the Cubans accepted us.
Despite the economic problems that they were going through.
Yes, despite the economic problems, and they hit us right in the face when we arrived.
But what was your experience of the kind of Cuba that Fidel Castro was trying to build at that stage?
Socialism system itself is very different from the kind of life we're living here at home. Fidel, through the system, had very strong social programs to try to uplift the standard of living, to uplift the lives, through free education, through free provision of shelter and of basic foodstuffs. That access, it really made a very impact. The difference whereby here at home you fend for yourself almost all the time, but that side the state caters for almost all your needs, and you just focus now on your duty, on your development as a human being. That was very striking for me, and the fact that your lifestyle now changes because now there is no competition for clothes. We were young at that time. We see the Cubans. No, they're not. Those are not the things that they are looking at. They're not looking at a comfortable life. They're asking us, and they were very much informed about the life back home, political life, about the changes that were happening. Remember that time we had a representative structure of the ANC there, and that's when everybody went back, and we were literally left alone as students without any caretaker representative there. But despite that, the Cubans continued to give us accommodation. They were giving us information about our situation back at home, the situation back home, and in general, the well-being was very well taken care of.
And Lincoln, you were the only South African student that was based in Havana at that time.
Yes.
And I understand you were living quite close to where Fidel Castro used
the place is called Siboney.
Did you ever meet him, and what was that experience?
Not directly, but I used to see him almost at a very close distance. The entourage always coming from the compound, and then I will be walking. It passes there quickly, it passes next us, And I remember one vivid encounter I had where it was really slow and the window was was scaled down, and I literally saw him reading there, you know, patiently reading in his backseat. And I thought, wow, which country could allow its you know, president to have that life which is so easygoing, which is so, you know, close to the people.
Yeah. And very quickly, when we look at the situation that you're explaining now in Cuba, how did Cubans react to their leader? Because now when you look at the reactions that are coming through, some idolize him and some loathe him.
Yes. Yes, you remember that those that were very opposed to his policies left at a very early stage in the 80s. The Mariel boat left. You had numerous, you know, immigration, you know, flows from, you know, voluntary flows, people taking a thing. And I remember his attitude that time was to say, really, those who want to leave, you are free to do so. Mm-hmm. I will only stay with those that. I remember he even said, even if all you guys can leave, I'll be the only remaining socialist leader here in Cuba. Yeah, and that impression really that he was so autocratic and opposed, you know, he was ruthless. It is really because here I am, I survived under that man, and I can tell you, the Cuban people, we really owe a huge gratitude to them.
And very quickly, Lincoln, what then would you say is Fidel Castro's legacy to Cuba, to Africa, and the rest of the world?
It's an exemplary leadership. That one of, if you're a leader, anywhere you are, put yourself at the level, same level with the people. Never elevate yourself. Fidel was really a true servant of the people. He exemplified that humane, you know, characteristic, that you know, humanistic characteristic, and a characteristic of someone who's interested in uplifting the well-being of all people of all sectors of society. I think that is the main thing that Mr.
All right, thank you so much for your time. That there was medical doctor Lincoln Sixishe. He spent some time in Cuba from 1991 until 1998. Now, active